welcome to this week's edition of Infocus. I am your host Shahana Bhatt, joining you from Indian-administered Kashmir. This year, the troubled Himalayan region witnessed a series of riots and anti-India demonstrations, which originally began with the death of a teenage student with a police tear gas shell back in June. Following the death, tens of thousands of people, young and old, took to streets, demanding independence from Indian rule. Authorities, however, continued with the use of force to stop the agitated mob, which resulted in the deaths of over 100 civilian protesters in 100 days of unrest and left many hundreds injured. The government imposed rolling curfews and restrictions to stop this violence in the region. However, to this point of time, both local and the federal government have failed to put a pause to this violent phase. In its latest development, New Delhi sent its parliament members to assess the on-ground situation. In this edition of Infocus, we'll discuss whether there's any crack in Kashmir after all parties' delegation meeting with separatists. And to talk more on this, we have two distinguished guests in our studios. We have Mr. Nizamuddin Bhatt, senior member of Mainstream People's Democratic Party. And joining him is Mr. Sajjad Lone, who started his career as a pro-independence politician, and in 2009 Indian general election, he stood as an independent candidate, becoming the first separatist leader in past 20 years to stand in general elections. Warm welcome to both of you. Beginning with you, Mr. Bhatt. Kashmir has seen 2 decades of unrest, and off and on we have seen protest demonstrations over alleged human rights violations. And this year we have seen a massive unrest in this region. Do you think this unrest is merely a governance deficit or a call for independence, or both?
We are realists and we acknowledge that Kashmir is a problem and it has a history. So whatever the instability there has been in Kashmir, in spells there have been good spells, bad spells. This one has been the worst one. This we see because there is a genesis for it. And the main problem has not been seriously addressed, resolved. That's there. Whatever the answers to that problem, notwithstanding that, we acknowledge there is a problem. And the problem, to our wisdom, gets always compounded when there is mishandling, either by New Delhi or by the state component of the government. Where we acknowledge fairly that because of the perpetual instability of minds in Jammu and Kashmir, because of the insecurity in the minds of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, particularly people of Valley, there is always unrest at one or another spell. And that is triggered more, gets exposure when it's mishandled by the governments. Where there has been a good spell, it has been because of the performance or the attitudes from New Delhi or performance by the state government. And where there has been a bad spell, it has been because of the triggering from New Delhi, because of the mishandling or from the government.
Sorry to interrupt you. So you are saying that it is not a governance problem. It is a bigger problem.
It is a problem which is compounded by bad governance.
Okay. Coming to you, Mr. Lone. As Mr. Bhatt said, that it is maybe because of bad governance and it is a bigger problem. How ill-informed do you think are the people of New Delhi about Kashmir problem?
Well, they certainly are. Whenever we go to Delhi, we meet people. They're perpetually in a state of delusion. They have their own ideas about what Kashmir is. They have their own contexts which don't match. There is a serious, severe mismatch between reality and what they see as a reality. The truth is that there is a problem. People here want to secede. This is a problem of secession. And any civilized country would have had a dialogue, engaged them, and tried to see whether they could resolve this issue. They have not done it. And it has shown lulls, and then it erupts again. When you talk of governance, you see, I talked of engaging them. The other way is to manage them. Management and governance in this case, they overlap. So good governance would be managing people in a manner that they don't erupt. Beyond that, I don't think there's a lot of governance deficit. Governance deficit means that, okay, you beat the Kashmir in a proper way that he can't get up.
Right.
It doesn't mean that, you see, I don't think we should belittle the Kashmiri to say that he's so poor, so deprived, that he's giving his lives, young children, because there is not good governance. So I would say it is totally, the correlation is between the yearning for secession or resolution and the lack of resolution. I don't think this governance is a very big factor.
Okay, I just want to ask you, Mr. Bhatt, your party was really very optimistic when New Delhi announced its all-parties delegation visit to Kashmir. Then why did the grapes turn sour?
I will surely say that PDP had invested a lot in in convincing the powers that be in New Delhi, the national parties, the parties in government, that they need to reach out to the people. They were insensitive for long 3 months. There was complete lull, as if nothing was happening in Kashmir. They had left it to the state government or few jaunts by the Union Home Minister. That was not enough, because crisis is very grave, grim, and it demanded a response which would commensurate to the crisis, which would match the sentiments of the people, the suffering of the people. So we had invested a lot in convincing them.